Oh, hello, didn't see you there. This is the Vikstrand again, and I'm coming to you this time from the wonderful city of Khiva in western Uzbekistan, about 55 kilometers from the Turkmenistan border. It's a very nice town, a little windy today. It's probably gonna affect the sound a little bit, but we'll do what we can. I forgot the other mic actually in Sweden. So this is not a very big town, it's about 50,000 people who lives here, and I would say that it would qualify as a small town. We're gonna talk today about another small town called Harper in Connecticut, where a professor lives. A professor called Charles Rankin. Or is he? We're going to talk today about The Stranger by Orson Wells from 1946. A reformed Nazi arrives at Harper, Connecticut. He wants to convince one of the old masterminds of the Holocaust, a Franz Kindler, to save his soul and embrace Jesus. Unfortunately, Mr. Kindler, it is now called Charles Rankin, and does not want to embrace God at all, but wants to embrace his hands around his neck and kill him. Unfortunately, Mr. Rankin's problems doesn't end there, because there is an investigator from the war crime counselor who also happens to be in Rankin, Connecticut, looking for Franz Kindler, because he believes that he's hiding there somewhere. Now, Kindler and Rankin is of course played by Orson Wells, who is going to marry the daughter of a Supreme Court justice called Mary, played by Loretta Young. Who doesn't know anything about Charles Rankin. Now the investigator, Mr. Wilson, played by Edward G. Robinson, he is suspecting that Charles Rankin is in fact Kindler. Now a war begins with the two men, with Loretta, key part of the puzzle. One of the best things with this movie is the suspense and the characters, because Orson Wells has crafted out some very good characters. You don't know in which direction this is gonna go, despite this being made in 1946. It still has very much an unpredictability over it. Mary is probably one of my favorite characters in this movie, mainly because you don't know where she's gonna go either. And Orson Welles, of course, outclasses everybody in this movie. It's actually one of his greatest performances I've ever seen with him. It's a well-directed movie, it's a well-shot movie, it's an interesting movie. Some characters is a bit wonky when it comes to the acting, and Mr. Wilson as always is one of the weaker links of the movies, mostly because his character is a bit weird and you don't understand the things he does sometimes. With that said, it's a minor problem, but it is a problem. Now one of the Uzbek police. I wonder what the Uzbek police has for final verdict about the Stranger. My opinion is that this is a good movie. It usually is when Orson Welles both is directing and starring in the movies. But it is also a very suspenseful movie. It has great characters. It has a great ending, and I like the overall story arcs that they're going for. There are of course problems with the pacing and with some characters, especially Mr. Wilson, as I mentioned earlier. But as a whole, this is of course not the best thing that Orson Welles has done. But in my opinion, he has never really done anything that is truly awful. At least not that I've seen. I mean, this movie can not much Citizen Kane or Touch of Evil for one thing, but it is a pretty solid movie that people should see who like film noirs, people who like post-World War II dramas, and people who generally has a big interest in movies. And therefore I say this is a solid movie that you should definitely go and check out. Orson Welles is of course a solid filmmaker. This is not as good as, let's say, Touch of Evil, but 74. This is about as far west as I go here in Uzbekistan, but I'm gonna turn around now and head east. We're gonna head towards Tajikistan, where we're gonna launch our next movie review from, I think at least. What's the movie gonna be? I think it's going to be Bulbachan. So tune in next time from Tajikistan to see the review of Bulbachan. This is the Wikstrand signing out.